In this video, we will demonstrate how our importing tools can be used to efficiently import large volumes of records and transactions, saving you valuable time in manual data entry. Specifically, we will focus on how to import fuel transactions using our user interface. To get started with importing fuel transactions, you'll need to export your transactions from your fuel card provider in one of our supported file formats. We currently support CSV format as the default. For this video, we will use an RTS export that includes fuel transactions made with 2 fuel cards during the month of January 2023. Once you've downloaded your transactions for a given period of time, navigate to the expense menu on our platform. Under the expense menu, you'll find the import fuel/fuel transaction submenu, which will display a list of any previously imported fuel transactions along with their summary. To add or upload new transactions, simply click on the red button. You'll then be prompted to provide certain details to begin the import process. The data import view is divided into 6 main sections. Help section. This provides guidance on the file format and headers that are expected. Action section. This is where you'll input carrier information, date range, and fuel sources, along with the exported transaction file from your fuel card provider. Fuel transactions list view. This is where the imported fuel summary will be displayed. Advances and fees. This section displays any cash advances or additional fees associated with the imported transactions. Summary view, where we give you the summary of the imported transactions along with any errors summary that could be further investigated and corrected and re-import again. Action button. This allows you to save the imported fuel transactions to your expenses. If the import is successful, the total amount of imported transactions will be displayed, and you can save it by clicking on Save Fuel Transactions button. Once saved, you can go back to the imported fuels list by clicking the back button or the import fuel submenu. After completing the fuel import process, all imported fuel transactions are converted and added to Ztrucking expenses. If you need to customize expenses, you can either search for the expense by the transaction ID or by the data import ID. To filter out expenses by data import ID, simply copy the ID from the first column and go to the expense list to search for expenses associated with that ID. This will allow you to further customize the transactions as needed. Now let's revisit the import fuel dashboard and explore some of the typical issues that might arise during the import process. To begin, click on Import Fuel submenu and then select the circular red button to view a few examples. The first error is an unsupported file format. This occurs when you provide a file format that our system cannot process or if the CSV header does not match the expected format. In this case, an error message will be displayed, indicating unrecognized format. The second error is an invalid date range. This is a secondary checkpoint that prevents you from selecting a date range that does not match the imported data. For example, let's select a date range between March 1, 2023, and March 31, 2023, while keeping our imported data for the month of January 2023. Since the transactions are outside of this range, the system will report an issue and let you know that the data is outside the expected date range. If this happens, first fix the date range so that it matches the imported data range and your inputs, then press Import Transactions and OPOS. If you updated the file in your system, you might need to refresh your browser before re-importing the transactions. The third common mistake is an unmatching fuel card. This occurs when the fuel card number does not match the one in our system, which we use to associate your transactions with the fuel card assigned to a driver. In this case, you need to go to the admin menu and the fuel card submenu to add or update the fuel card with the correct driver and truck information and redo the whole import operation again. As an example, we'll update Ingrid's fuel card information to match our imported transactions and save the fuel card. After saving the fuel card, navigate to the fuel import submenu by selecting the expenses menu and choosing the date range for January, since our transactions are imported for that period. Press the Import Transactions button and validate the import summary to ensure there are no errors. If everything looks correct, press Save Fuel Transactions. The fourth error is when there are duplicate transactions. If transactions with duplicated data are saved, they will appear as duplicates and our system will exclude them from the total. So, if you decide to save transactions with possible duplicates, it's crucial to ensure that your total reflects them. Now, let's re-import our earlier transactions. As we're importing similar transactions, we anticipate that all of them will be reported as duplicates, and the total number of imported transactions will be 0. To verify this, let's provide the correct date range and select the previously imported file. If you're aware that you're saving transactions with possible duplicates, our system will allow you to save them by selecting Save Transactions with Duplicates. However, it's important to note that those duplicate transactions won't appear in your centralized expenses list. Another crucial feature of data import is the ability to delete imports. This can be done from the Action menu, and any data import can be safely deleted from our imported fuel list. To delete an import, click on the Action menu and select Delete Fuel Import. However, it's important to note that once you delete a data import, all expenses related to those fuel transactions will also be deleted from our centralized expense list. So, be sure to carefully consider whether you want to delete an import before doing so. We hope this helps you effectively use our importing tools and saves you time on manual data entry. If you have any questions or if you don't see your fuel provider in our system, please open a ticket and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.